Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. Mr. Tate Mathews, 23-24 is in the books. Only the Wilcos left to celebrate these great teams, these great individual athletes and coaches.
It's going to be fun, June the 18th at the factory, the 10th annual. 10th edition of the Wilcos. That's hard to believe. And this is from a guy who's been to all of them. It doesn't seem like 10 years. It's done nothing but get bigger and better every year. It's so exciting. I'm already hearing from the parents of some of the athletes. Hey, where do I go before? Where do I go after? There's plenty of eating establishments now.
Right.
I mean, plenty. There's something for everybody. Street tuxedos already getting busy. You can see the buzz of everybody going in there and getting fitted for their tux. So it's going to be fun, man. In 2023, 2024, it's a catchphrase we use a lot around here, but it did not disappoint.
It didn't disappoint. And next week, Tate, we'll have our Wilco Awards preview show, and we'll get into some of these details.
Well, there's some tough categories.
Oh, man, some tough categories. You know, when folks are left out and they were state runner-up.
State champion.
I mean,
that one's kind of hard to defend.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Which there are. There's going to be some state champions that do not win. There could be multiple state champion winners that don't win.
It's tough.
It's tough. Hey,
what does
the district athletic director always say?
More.
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron, and not to steal from the SEC, but
no crying on the yacht.
Just kind of just means more here.
Yeah,
it means more in WCS.
It does.
All right, Tate, so let's jump into Spring Fling.
Okay.
Which was obviously great for us. We had 3 team champions. There's a theme here, by the way.
Yes.
Brentwood girls tennis, Brentwood boys tennis, Brentwood boys track. And the theme is?
All Brentwood. Hey, what do they used to say? Brew wins?
I mean, it's
and a runner-up in there for the Brew wins as well. So they had a nice spring fling. They usually do, but this is, 3 state champions. One school will take it.
They also had a runner-up in girls track.
Yes.
We thought they might get the sweep there. And then Nowensville baseball and Ravenwood soccer. So that's 3 team champions, 3 runners-up. And then when you look at the individuals, which we'll get into in just a second, 16 more state champions, 13 runners-up. It's nuts.
It's nuts.
It reads like fiction. But when you're in WCS, let me tell you.
Are they zooming in on you right now?
It's reality.
It's reality.
It's reality when you're here.
Yeah. And this is in the top classification. All those things that you just mentioned are in the top classification. We're not playing FCS, CS, Sisters of the Poor here.
Well, we can't go higher.
That's what I'm saying.
It's as high as it is. All right, let's do this. I want to highlight some of these teams and individuals, Tate, and we want to do it justice, so to speak.
Okay.
Let's start off with baseball. Congratulations to Coach Hudson in Nowensville. I wouldn't call them cardiac kids, but I don't think people thought they were, especially, and listen, I talked about this with Coach Hudson. They don't exactly pass the physical look test, but they can play some ball now.
Oh, they're a team. There's no weaknesses. You're right. I know what you're saying, though, because a couple years ago, that team did look bigger. Well, because they were.
Because they were.
But this is more of a complete team. This is a complete team. No holes, no weaknesses, solid at every position, some really, really top-end players, and a bunch of really good players.
So in talking to Coach Hudson
and
before,
a good coach with staff.
Very good. In talking to Coach Hudson before the tournament, he said, if we want a chance, we've got to go 2-0.
Yeah.
We got to win those first 2 in their side of the bracket. They do. They defeat Oak Ridge 5-2. They defeat Arlington 3-2. They get Arlington again. Arlington had that extra game that they had to play, 10-4,
Yeah.
and that ends up with a state championship matchup with Farragut. Nothing to lose. They had lost earlier in the season to them. I was there at that championship. They were right there. They had Dawson Sweeney on the mound, which is what they wanted. Farragut just made the timely hits when they needed them. And I'm telling you now, McIlvain hit a rocket. I think it might have been in the 5th inning, right at someone. If that gets through, we might be talking about a Nolensville State Championship. And I'm telling you, Farragut has a great team, as you know.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter because it is what it is, but I really do think any other year, they probably are the state champions. Not only was Farragut a great program, the program when you're talking baseball in the state of Tennessee, this is, I think his name's Coach Buckner. He retired or resigned after the state championship. His son's done playing. Bottom line is, he said, I think this is the best team we've ever had here. And I think he's right. I can't remember, 16, 18 of the players on the team are going to play college baseball. 3 of them going to Mississippi State, 2 of them going to Tennessee. So we're not talking about we're talking big programs here. But that's how it was. That's how it was this year. It was the best team Farragut's ever had. Nolensville gave them everything they wanted. You mentioned Coach Hudson said they needed to go 2-0. I do believe, because that meant that Dawson Sweeney was going to be on the mound against Farragut, and they came with, everything was lined up to give them their best shot. They did, just came up a little bit short. It's kind of like basketball. Runner-up in the 4A state baseball tournament, to me, man, that's a big, big deal. A lot of teams, just a lot of great coaches that we know with Hall of Fame careers. I know Hall of Famers used it. I guess there's a different definition of Hall of Famers sometimes now, but I'm talking Hall of Fame guys that never even get to the state tournament. And to get runner-up 4A, job well done, fellas.
3-1 again in that final, and they were right there.
Right there.
Let's talk a little softball. Congratulations to Coach Patton and his squad. They make it all the way to the state tournament. They start off the tournament with a big 2-0 win over Arlington. They drop their next matchup with Dobbins-Bennett. I think most of us thought it'd be Green Hill.
Didn't see
so when
that
it
one.
ends up being Dobbins-Bennett as the champion. So they lose to Dobbins-Bennett 4-1. Now they're down to elimination games. They drop a tough one to Walker Valley 3-2. And not that scores totally mean everything, but Dobbins-Bennett, Walker Valley was another tight one, 3-2. So they were close. But they get a win at the state tournament, again in the largest classification. And Coach Patton and his team, to me, they did it the right way, just like Coach Hudson's team. It wasn't we lost here and we maybe lost there. They just rolled right through to get to the state tournament. Again, a lot to be proud of. A lot of players back next year for both of those squads. I look for Nolensville to be the favorite in baseball and softball again next year.
Yeah, I do too. They had a great season. Obviously, Dobbins-Bennett was a little bit better than we thought they were. Walker Valley as well. But we were there, didn't even see each other. But Nolensville-Arlington game, Nolensville looked lights out, solid, against Arlington was 31-4. So nice 2-0 win there. Then went over and watched some of Green Hill and Stewart Creek. Green Hill's pitcher was hurt. Thought there was a crack there. I think that's, I think Green Hill is there. Who knows what happens with Dobbins-Bennett? Do they not have that injury? But point being, you see Green Hill get beat, you hear about the injury, you feel like, hey, man, we've got something. We got a chance here. But I think after all the dust settled, I think Nolensville's side of the bracket was the tougher side of the bracket.
It was, which is, I was going to bring that up. When the brackets came out, we thought, okay,
right,
we're in the right spot. But it turns out, because of the Green Hill situation, that other side, not quite as tough. Dobbins-Bennett beating Stewart's Creek in the final. Hey, Sidney Dickinson coming through. Miss Creasman on the mound.
Yeah. I was going to say, a lot of when you look at all their stats, everybody had really an unbelievable all-district type season on the team. They really did. But Sidney Dickinson's season is one that will be tough to replicate for sure. She lights out, man. Lights out.
Who would have thought a year ago that they lose Rylan Smith, who at the next level, a lot of accolades there at Western Kentucky as a freshman, just a superstar pitcher for that team, and they're great again.
They're great again. Going to be great again next year. Coach Patton's done a great job, man.
He has. You can feel it when you're around their team.
Yes.
It's got that, And I guess all winning teams are like that, but it's one of those things that's hard to describe, but when you see it, you kind of know it.
Yeah. And you mentioned Matty. Again, if you got a pitcher, you got a chance.
They got a pitcher.
They got a pitcher.
Hey, let's talk a little soccer. Here's one that the pundits would have said, no way. So Coach Reed and Ravenwood, they're heading to the state tournament. I think most of us would say Ravenwood wasn't the team that Brentwood was throughout the year. They just weren't.
No.
Franklin, Ravenwood at the end maybe playing 2A and 2B. But what ends up happening? Franklin upsets Brentwood in the district. Ravenwood beats Franklin in the final after being down 2-0 late.
Which just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. What do? They go to the state tournament and they draw unbeatable Houston. Houston is 19-0-1. That's a matchup that I went to, and I'm like, hey, I better go to that just in case. They just got this one appearance. Got to make sure I got to watch all the teams.
Yeah.
4 minutes in, they had scored, and they end up beating Houston 3-2, and then roll right into the finals after a win over Howard. Bearden was one of those teams. If you remember, Tate, last year Bearden and Brentwood played in round one, and it was the winner was going to win it. Brentwood wins.
And they did.
Bearden goes to the house. So I felt like that Bearden team would be one that if you get in the final, they're one that had some experience. But I will say this, it goes all the way to PKs. Now, that's kind of fun for the fans. It's kind of fun to watch that. But Ravenwood really dominated the match. They had more shots on goal. The ball was on their end. I guess it would be called their end most of the match. They just didn't quite score. In that final, I felt like Ravenwood honestly played better.
I did too. I thought they were going to get them, but hats off to the Bearden goalkeeper. What a great player that guy is.
Bearden. I've had enough of Bearden.
Me too, man. Remember, there was a lot of complaining about them meeting in the first round last year. Because I think everything was right, but still, it is what it is. Man, to lose in PKs like that, it's a heartbreaker, man. And you're right, it is good for the fans, maybe that part of it, but I mean, you want to talk about think about all the pressure. Okay, let's think about all the different pressure situations you can be in spring fling. Now that we're sitting here talking about it, I don't know that there's anything more pressure packed than that. I mean, talk about all eyes on you, man.
It's number one.
It's that's tough.
I was a nervous wreck watching those. So here's what's interesting about it. I always appreciate like the culture of certain sports. So they get beat 5-3, but it's one at a time. They're all lined up. Here they come. They walk down. The goalie comes out. Everybody's cheering, but right before,
It's dead silent. Yeah,
silence. Yeah. The whole crowd. Yeah. You would think like the crowd that's on offense would be, or whatever, or vice versa. But it's
quiet.
Dead silent.
Yeah. And you don't hear anything until you hear the ball, and then you either hear it hit the net, or
right. It's one of those things,
man. And by pressure, I'm not just talking about the goalkeeper. I'm talking about the person taking the kick.
It is tough.
You're either a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. So shout out to Coach Reed and his squad. And I'm sure you've thought about this. Ravenwood soccer, runner-up in boys.
And girls.
Runner-up in girls. We talk about Brentwood a lot. And then I always say, hey, don't sleep on Coach Burgoyne and Franklin. Well, you look up and it's Ravenwood.
It's Ravenwood.
If you're talking soccer this year,
Ravenwood is where it starts and begins. And who knows, man? I mean, this was it's going to be hard to be as talented of a Brentwood team as they had this year. Maybe there's a shift in power here, man.
Could be. Will Keeney played awesome and they had a lot of young men that played awesome, but he was really good.
Yeah.
During that tournament. Next up, Tate, speaking of domination. Tennis. So Coach Kristen Young and her squad, here's what they do, Brentwood. They win the girls' title, and look at these scores. They played Tennessee High 4-1. That's in the semis. In the final, they played Collierville 4-0. So it's a combined 8-1. On the boys' side, again, we're talking team. Cookeville 4-0. Science Hill, 4-1. Total domination from the boys and the girls.
That's about as dominating. Well, I guess you could have gone 4-0, but that's Popcorn City, Boat Race City, yacht. I guess tennis. I don't know, man. That's
Yacht's a good word for tennis.
That's Yacht City.
It's very good. I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
It's apropos.
Yeah, very apropos. It's funny how if you're talking girls, Collierville is going to be in there. Which, by the way, Collierville and Brentwood, this isn't the only time that on the ladies' side we see each other in spring fling. And then you can always count on Collierville being there, and you can always count on Science Hill being there. I know we don't care, but
we don't. Shout out to Brentwood. I was watching a Science Hill Brentwood matchup.
On the boys' side,
Brentwood had the all whites on. It was Wimbledon-esque. Yeah. It was all matching the shorts and the top. And then the Science Hill team, listen, I'm sure they're good young people, looked like they picked their squad that morning out of a group of 50. Like, I didn't even know they were on the same team. Different shirts, different shorts.
I think one of them had a Zach Bryan concert T-shirt on. I'm not sure, but maybe the bag didn't make it. They stopped at the Goodwill. You know, that's a thing now, buying new T-shirts. Coach Young, look like a winner, be a winner. She's got a. You're right. It looked Wimbledon.
It did,
and it looked good, and it matters.
Trust me, it matters. Shout out to Adidas and Mathews Team Sports. Look great. I think I sent you a pic.
You did.
Check this out.
That's how I saw the concert T-shirt. I was a little disappointed, but.
So again, not knocking those young people, but it starts with the coach and the school and the district, and got to look alike. Brentwood look great.
They will do what they are allowed to do.
Yes, they will. Hey, let's go through. So now they win the team title. Yep. So there's a team event, but then there's also an individual event, which is a singles tournament and then a doubles tournament. So let's start with the state girls singles tournament. Evelyn Reisner. She totally got it done. She wins in the final over a young lady from Blackman, 2-0 in the semifinals. And by the way, that was 6-3, 7-5 in the semis. She beats the defending state champion from Farragut. Again, another school that shows pretty strong in spring fling. She gets the win 6-7, so she loses in a tiebreaker. Then she wins 6-1 and then 10-5 in that. It's a 10-point tiebreaker, Tate, in that third set. So she wins that match.
That was a great match.
It's a great match.
If that had been on TV, people would not have changed the channel.
Great match. So Evelyn, big win. You're the singles champion.
That's strong.
That's strong.
What grade is Evelyn in? Junior.
One more year.
She'll be back.
She's
strong.
Back. She's back. And I've done now Grace Stout, who was a great player at Ravenwood. She lost to the Farragut young lady last year. And then, Grace, good player.
Good player.
But
do you like that setup over there?
I love that setup.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a good setup.
And if it rains, you can go indoors.
Yep.
Was it the Adams Tennis Center? Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Over just a stone's throw from the Stones River.
I spent quite a bit of time watching tennis over there. I really enjoy the tennis.
Big tennis fan.
The tennis is good. Hey, let's talk about boys doubles. So now we're talking Brentwood again in boys doubles. We talked about that. They get the state finals win over Science Hill, 6-4, 7-6. The team of Drew Miller, Stephen Smith of Brentwood, that's the final. They end up getting a win over the Tullahoma team in the semifinal. In the first round, they knocked off a team from Houston. So again,
who'd they beat from Houston?
Walpole and the other young man, I do not know how to pronounce his name.
Oneo Gocha. You know what I always
I remember, if he was in our district, we would.
I promise I'll make this quick, but I always think about this. We don't really teach manuscript very well anymore. I think we are cheating the young people. And you remember in third, fourth grade, you had to write your first and last name on every piece of paper. Remember? Anything you had to put Darrin Joins, right? I went to Cedar Bluff Intermediate School, elementary and intermediate school, with a young lady. She was Her family was from Greece. Her name was Antigone Pantanizopoulos. She had to write that on every piece of paper, every class, every day. I bet her forearms were just like.
Now you just write your
I
first
think
name.
Obala had that same thing. Or whatever. Just
And nobody can, there's no signatures anymore. Nobody can write in cursive.
correct.
Few people can. My boys can write in cursive.
Great.
They're elementary school teacher. Miss Dethridge, shout out to Miss Dethridge.
Job
Hey,
well done.
listen, there's a bunch of things those boys can't do,
But writing cursive is
but
one.
they can sign their name.
Miller and Smith, guess what? They're 11th graders. They're back.
Man, those guys can play. Drew Miller, Stephen, and I'll say this too about Stephen Smith. Evan Lee, who's a great player from Brentwood, he ends up losing to the eventual state runner-up. But I'll say this about Stephen. He played number one a little bit at the end of the year. I'm interested to see that Wilco. I think it's a battle between Lee and Smith. We'll see what happens there. We'll talk about it a little bit more next week.
That's right.
I think it's a battle between
And tune
those
in
two.
on the 18th to find out.
That's when you're going to find out.
That's right.
Hey, I have to mention this because you know I love this. Fairview, now we're talking Class A doubles. The team of Terry and Frank, Carter Terry, Sam Frank from Fairview. Sam, a senior, Carter, a junior. They win their first match over the team from Meigs County in straight set, 6-3, 6-0, 6-0. Boat race, obviously. 6-2, 6-1 in the semis. In the championship, they lose to the team from the University School, Jackson, 6-4, 6-1. But they make it all the way to the championship. They've played 1-2 all year for Fairview. And you know with my man Sam Frank.
Yes.
I love it. So
He might be your favorite.
he's one of my favorites. He's state runner-up in doubles with Mr. Terry. He finishes fourth in the state wrestling tournament. It is the all-time best combination.
It really
of
is
sports.
great. That one's hard to beat. I don't think you can, really.
It's a great combo.
There's some great combos, but a tennis player that is a wrestler is. I can't think if you wanted to create one that we don't even have. I don't know that you can. A golfer that's a wrestler, maybe? I don't know.
Well, let's add
no,
to it.
because I'm going. I think you're right.
But
Best combo.
I think what makes it even, but not only does he do it, he's really good at both.
He excels.
He
at
does.
both. He's not just on the team.
His mother, Coach Frank, done a great job there at Fairview. So shout out to them. I wanted to make sure we mentioned them.
Fairview Tennis has done Fairview in a lot of sports, but Fairview Tennis, the growth they've shown is in that program is, man, monumental.
And Carter Terry, who plays number one singles, only a junior. He'll be back
Correct.
next year. All right, let's talk a little track. Tate, we did okay in track.
Okay.
We did okay. So I know you're going to talk about our teams a little bit, but there's a lot of highlights, a lot of fun stuff to talk about with track.
Well, let's start with the girls. We had a great showing by all of Wilco. Brentwood, the Lady Bruins, we talk about underestimating. We underestimated how deep and how good the Collierville ladies track team was, because it's not like Brentwood went there and underperformed.
No, they didn't.
They were lights out. It's just Collierville was that good. But Brentwood finishes number 2 in the team standings. Nolensville number 4. You know you're gonna be top 5 because of one runner. If all else, if the bus doesn't show up. So anyways, Brentwood and Nolensville in the top 5. There were just so many great performances on the ladies' side. But first of all, what I thought was very cool in the long jump, Daisy Oatsvall takes second, and she takes first in the high jump. Oh, and by the way, last week, remember we talked about, it's one thing I don't love. I love the pentathlon and I love the decathlon. I get it. I'm not complaining. I hate that it's the previous week. I feel like it loses. I feel like it kind of flies under the radar, and it shouldn't, because, I mean, it's tough, right?
It is. I understand why they do it first.
Yep.
Because these young men and young women are competing in these other events, and you'd just be gassed.
Correct.
In fact, Sophie Yant, who battled she was banged up a little bit at the end of the year, she did not compete in that event, but what happens? Abby Miller finishes third.
Third. And
So
Daisy finishes second.
Second. So you figure if Sophie's in there, it might be first, third, fourth, assuming that whoever won it would still be the winner.
So let's think about this. Daisy takes home second in the long jump. Triple jump, Ryan Moore from Centennial. She takes second in the triple jump. High jump, Daisy gets first. The 4x800 meter relay, Brentwood first, Paige second. Paige done a great job. Coach Doty did a great job building that program. She's over. Oh, by the way, she's the girls' head coach of Brentwood now. In the 100-meter hurdles, Sophie Yount takes second, and she's not 100%, but that's not an excuse. But that's just
It's the truth.
It's the truth. 1,600-meter run. Would you like to take a guess who won that? Claire Stegall. She wins her. She's a junior. She's 3 for 3 in state meet in the 1,600-meter run. She won that one 4x1. Brentwood second. Okay, 300-meter hurdles. Abby Miller, Brentwood High, second. 800-meter run. Claire Stegall, first. We were there. I don't know what to call that. Monsoon, maybe. It came out of nowhere. She wins the 800-meter run. She sets the meet record, and it was pouring, man.
Hey, and shout out to Coach Manderfield for saving us a little bit. We got under the tent.
Got under the tent.
I don't know if he really had a choice. We just kind of ran in there.
When we came in with our jackets on, I don't even know if they knew who we were. I could see some of the young ladies like, what is going on here? Thanks, Coach Manderfield, for the tent. Coach Manderfield gets there early because they're really good in field events, so he got prime real estate on the tent. But again, Claire did that in the pouring rain. Lydia Cromwell takes home first place in the 3,200. Again, just now remember what we were talking about the Wilco's. State champion. 4x400 meter relay, Brentwood High. Pentathlon, Daisy was second, and Abby was third. In the pentathlon team rankings, as we said, Brentwood second, Nolensville fourth. Now, I'm going to say something that might cause some issues.
Is this some controversy coming?
Yeah, for some. If you had to pick number one performance, who are you going with? Oh, and by the way, Claire ran the 4x4, the 4x4 and the 4x8. We've talked about it again, but I'm going to mention it again. She chooses to run those events so her teammates can have the best, those other three on the relay can have the best times and chance to win a state championship that they can. So first in the 800, first in the 1,600, fourth in the 4x4 and 4x8. Is that what you would pick as the best performance of spring fling on the girls' side?
Maybe, but I know what you're picking.
That's not mine.
You're picking Oatsville.
I'm picking Oatsville.
Because of the variety of event.
Yes.
The 8-discipline event.
Yes, man. Runner up, and she's just started doing it, right? So runner up in the pentathlon, she wins the high jump, and she gets second in the long jump. That's my number one performance.
She's pretty good at volleyball,
and
too.
she's pretty good at volleyball. My guess is if she could have been good at basketball.
She's tough.
She's tough.
She's a youngster, too.
Yes.
Plenty of time left.
Plenty of time left.
Boys' side, so you mentioned a lot of Brentwood. Brentwood. Same thing on the boys' side, obviously, because they win it. Talk about those team standings, Tate.
Team standings, Brentwood takes home first place, and it wasn't close. Ravenwood comes in at seventh. Again, they've got a 2-time gold medalist, so you get one of those, you got a pretty good chance to be in the top 10. Nolensville finished off 8th. So Brentwood, the boys, this was back-to-back, their second state championship. You know what's been pretty neat? Coach Brock took over that program, 7-8 years ago? Kind of just really stepped in.
Right, we need you.
We need, Coach.
We need you.
I wasn't in the room, but I believe that Mr. Cadell said, Coach Brock, I need you to do this. He just won his 4th state championship as a head coach. And they were runner-up this year back-to-back. But it was dominating. It started off with a bang. Cannon Kinder, yes, Jet's little brother, won his first decathlon state championship. He's back, but he starts off with a bang. He takes home first place in the decathlon. So then we get to the next week, the individual events. Cannon takes home first place in the pole vault. Sterling Weldon takes home second in the long jump and third in the triple jump. His teammate Brandon Brooks took home second in the triple jump. High jump, first place. No real surprise here. Donovan Starr takes home 6'6".
6'6". Dr. Qualls wanted to remind everybody too that he jumped 6'9". He had on untied Jordans.
But that really is amazing.
And some like Jordan shorts. And his only loss was in the state championship.
Right.
To someone from Page. I forget the young man's name that he'd beaten like 20 times.
He's still not
And he said there's a chance that my Jordan shorts hit the ball.
It's really unbelievable.
So they were down to his knees. 6'9".
Again, going back to 6'9" is legit. It goes back to what we said. You'll do what you're allowed to do. I don't know who that guy was. I hope it wasn't his dad. I don't think it was. But Donovan Starr, first place in the high jump. Now this, you want to talk about a cool combo.
It's a great combo.
First place in the 100-meter dash, ran a 10.56, I think. For those of you that don't watch track or don't care, let me tell you something, boys. Sub 10.6 on an electronic timer on that track is flying. That's also the type of stuff, if you're keeping up with his recruiting, he'll get every offer there is now. He'll get every offer. All of them. He's already got most of them. He'll get them all after running that. The 4x2, I want to come back to this. The 4x2,
offers in
football, that is. Sorry, apologies. I thought
obviously track, he's going to get some offers.
Track, he's going to get some offers, but he's going to play football. 4x200 meter relay, Brentwood takes first place. 4x400 meter relay, Brentwood takes first place. The 400 meter dash, Hudson, don't call me Alan, Mr. PA announcer, Elaine takes home first place. 200 meter dash, Hudson Elaine, first place. 3,200 meter run, Callahan Fielder of Brentwood High takes home second place. Brentwood team standings, as we mentioned, first place, seventh was Ravenwood, eighth was Nolensville High. John Bass of Ravenwood High School gets runner-up in the decathlon to Cannon Kinder.
So let's talk a couple things. Great summary, by the way, of that.
Golly.
The Nolensville. There's a couple things here. We talked about Nolensville, Ravenwood.
Yeah.
Who is second? Well, I think after the state, I'm going Nolo.
Yes.
They go 7-8, which is tight, but then on that girls' side, they finish fourth. So Nolensville, I'm going to say, had a little better year, but it's close. I'm trying to spark a little controversy and competition.
I like it.
But here's a take. I think you could argue, especially the type of events, because you went back to Oatsfall had the best event. I think you could argue Kinder.
Yep.
You can argue Elaine, and you can argue Star as being the quote-unquote stars of spring fling track and field.
Well, that 4x2, if you go watch the video that's somewhere out there on Twitter, Hudson Elaine catching that guy, I think he was from Science.
It was incredible.
I think it was our buddy from Science. It looked fake. I mean, it really does look fake. You throw the relays into it, I think you have to go with Hudson Elaine. I think you have to.
I think so, too.
I mean, he wins the 200, set a meet record, right? No, the 400. He wins the 200. He sets a meet record in the 400. And then what he did in the 2 and the 4, so there's 4 gold medals. And what he did in the 4x2 was maybe the greatest thing I saw all meet. Here's what I thought was so cool about this. You've talked about it. We laugh about it, but it's also true. Death by 1,000 cuts. This is what I thought was so cool about this team. You know, Brentwood has won a lot of state championships, but if you go back, I don't ever remember them winning the 4x2 or the 4x400 relay. Because let's be honest, there's some teams out west that come in and run some smoking times on that.
They do.
Now they're winning those. They don't win the 200-meter dash. We don't. We just don't. Hudson Elaine won the 200-meter dash and in the 400. What I'm trying to tell you is we used to kill everybody with depths, field events, and distance running. Now they're winning the flipping sprints.
It's over.
It's over.
And I mean, obviously Hudson's a once in a generation sort of dude, but they've had a few of those.
They've had a few of those.
But he's pretty special.
He was fun to watch.
I want to make sure on the girls' side that we shouted out Fairview's relay team.
Oh, yes.
The 4x8. They won the 4x800. got some young ladies who might appear on some Wilco Awards on that team. So congratulations to them, another great job. And last but not least, I want to mention Unified Track and Field. Unified a few years ago was sort of Franklin and everybody else, but I give a shout out to Nolensville.
Yep.
They've sort of stepped up and been part of that. And then also Brentwood High stepped up and been a part of that. So the Unified Track, we love the Unified Track. It's a great event. We talk about it all the time. A lot of fun.
A lot of fun, and a lot of good comes out of it from all involved. But you're right, Franklin, kind of like Independence took women's wrestling, were the first one to kind of jump all in. Franklin definitely did that on the Unified Track and Field, but now you see it all over the place, and it's a great part of the meet, and I love because we complain about them a lot, so we need to give them their due when they do. I think the TWSAA does a great job of their part of the Spring Fling State Track Meet.
They do. Gives a chance to those special needs students to be a part of that event. It's a great thing. I do want to give a shout out to TWSAA also. I think you and I maybe only got reprimanded one time, and it was somebody was starting the race and
we're getting ready to run across the track. And they let us hang out in the shed.
It was great.
It was great.
Great hospitality.
A lot of great events, man. But the track and field now.
I love the track and field.
Tough to beat that one, and we're pretty good at it too.
Very good. Again, congratulations to all those athletes, Spring Fling, all that they've done this year. I can't wait next week to talk a little Wilco Awards. It's that time, Tate.
It's right around the corner.
And then before you know it, we'll be talking Football Media Day.
Yes.
But the next thing, Wilco's. Looking forward to it.
Tough events. Get out there. If you're attending, do Mr. Street and little Mr. Street a favor. Don't wait until 3 days. Come on, man.
And that's for you too, Dr. Qualls. I know you watch it.
Yes, and Coach Hester. And don't pick it up on June the 18th at 4 o'clock. Wonder why your vest isn't in there. Help them out, man. Help them out. Me included.
You got to prepare.
I've gotten better. You've made me get better at that. Back when it was me and Dr. Qualls, we showed up about 3 hours before. Hey, what you got? And it showed.
No, hey. No matter what, they always make
red carpet. I'm telling you, man, you know this. Check out the factory. There's so many new, just from last year's Wilco's, there's so many new places to go. Make a day of it, man. Make a night of it. I promise you, if you've never been, you will not regret blocking off about 6 hours.
And we don't have to worry about the food trucks anymore.
No.
There's plenty of choices. Anything from Daddy's Dogs all the way to Edley's.
To Hattie B's.
Hattie B's, that's right.
Otaku Ramen.
The White Alligator.
The White Alligator. The Mr. Reliable, Dave Story of Mojo's Tacos.
Mojo's.
Here's the great thing. And now you've got the sitting area with the Skylight Bar out there. Oh, Miss Joins wants tacos? Order Mojo's Tacos. Coach Joins wants White Alligator, Jambalaya? No problem. We'll all just meet in the middle.
It's great.
It's going to be good. Red carpet is back.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Award show at 7. Can't wait.
Let's go.
Looking forward to it, Tate. And looking forward to talking about those finalists next week.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.